the city of Fayetteville, I keep all of my carriages in the city parking area down there. And what I normally do is I bring in 4 horses or 3 horses, and then if I need more, I just go hook up another horse. And I always bring extra people with me. So it's just not me. Usually we got a person selling tickets if I'm on the street use like we're in Fayetteville. If it wasn't cold tonight, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have 6 people working the streets down there in the city of Fayetteville. If you come down Saturday night, you'll see what I'm talking about. We got people that sells tickets and loads carriages in the whole 9 yards.
Mr. Berman?
The folks that you have here on the last page that have your non-motorized passenger transport permit, are they going to be some of the same people that are going to be working here, or are you going to hire locally?
I'm definitely going to hire locally, and I'm glad you brought that up. Right now, I'll have to use the people myself, and some of these folks that's 2 of those are my son-in-law, or 1 of those is my son-in-laws and my daughter. I believe that's on there. We'll use those until I can either hire people. I'm working right now, working with the horseback riding people that's got horse people that can drive carriages. Stop and talk to some folks today. My goal is, like I do in Fort Worth, to hire local people that can run the carriages locally, and then I'm there to help fill in and then harness up, and usually I'm there on the weekends in Fort Worth. If I'm not there, my son-in-law is there running that. But I'll have, as been this close, I'll probably be, like I said, I'll be here a lot. My goal is to hire all Eureka Springs folks that is qualified to drive a carriage. If not, we'll have to train some, and that'll take some time.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Seller?
I thought it was popular. I thought I was familiar with our carriage franchise ordinance, and I discover I'm not. Do we limit the number of carriages that can be operating at one time on the streets, and do we limit the size of these carriages, how many people they can carry? Because what happens here is, I know we seem to only start at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. Do we have limit the hours that these carriages can operate?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they limit themselves. They limit
okay.
themselves.
Well, what I see here is, when these carriages are operated, it creates a traffic jam, and we have 2 franchises now, don't we, for carriages? We have 2 franchises.
That one's not going to continue.
Okay, so we have 3 possibly available that someone, because they're on the books, and as long as the franchise is there, someone can apply for it. So we could conceivably have 3 franchises. If we have 3 franchises and we have carriages, this one I noticed here is big enough to carry 8 people, which would be a horrendous traffic jam, especially if it's going up Crescent Drive. I just wonder whether we need to consider limiting this. What is this going to do to our traffic flow? And what I'm getting at is do we need to revisit this franchise ordinance to make sure that we control how many of these these carriages we have going on the street at one time? I mean, if we're going to have 6, 7, 8 carriages all at the same time, this is going to be a mess.
They're on different routes, and this route is up by the Crescent Hotel. Isn't that where yours was, Ms.
Yeah,
Ada?
but it doesn't just go there, though. Doesn't it come down Spring Street from what I'm seeing here?
After 6 p.m., it goes down from the Presbyterian Church down to Highway 23.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to address your concern about the 8-passenger. That's a wagonette. Instead of loading from the side, it's built on a vis-a-vis body, a running gear. And what you do is you load from the back, and you set along the side, so the actual carriage of the wagonette is not no longer than a regular carriage. It just holds more people because you set side by side in the back of a pickup truck with seats on the side.
How large is this carriage? There's 4 wheels, obviously.
Yes, it's the same size as the carriage that Ada's using.
As a 2-person carriage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's just configured different because you load from the back and you sit down where your feet's at, you put your feet together and you sit along the sides.
Okay.
Mr. Berry?
Well, I'm glad somebody brought that up. Both Mr. Tharp's and Mr. Hobson's applications indicate, the map indicates the same routes.
Well, Mr. Thorpe's already got a route, and he's applying for the same route, or I'm applying. We're both applying for the same route. So if he gets the permit, he'll have 2 franchises. So I'm asking to be awarded that franchise instead of Mr. Thorpe, of course.
Why we put them together? Because they're both applying for the same route.
All right.
Mr. Bremer?
I think Ms. Jenkins has 2 at 2 times. Is it
I have 4 carriages,
4?
and one year I ran all 4.
Okay.
In the past few years, I just ran 2. 5 years ago, I ran 3 on Friday and Saturday.
See, I live, and the route that they're talking about, I live right there, and I see it on a daily basis. And they're no more of a traffic hazard than a vehicle that's actually parked on off-street parking, that's actually parked in the street. Most of the people are, since it's only 15 miles an hour anyway, you get some youngsters that don't really care about speeding laws, but generally most people are very, giving and slow down, and she'll let them pass. I see them wave them on and let traffic pass and stuff. So I don't think. Mr. Dotson was talking about running 3, possibly 2. It would be no more than what was actually currently being used at the time. So 8. I couldn't see how you could run 8.
Well, the ordinance says basically what different types of carriages you. So I didn't want to say, okay, I'm gonna run all white ones, and then somebody gonna come up there and see my black one that I'm running and say, well, that's not in your ordinance. So what I did is I put the carriages that might be running here in Eureka Springs. Now, obviously, they're all not going to run. Ada said that business is for 2. I'm not going to bring 4 carriages down here and set them up. I'm not going to do that. But probably what we'll run is the Cinderella and the just the regular vis-a-vis that she's ran all along, or the 2-seater wedding carriage, which is a smaller carriage.
The point that I was trying to bring up is that I don't think it's going to be a detriment to the traffic. If people are already abiding by the speed limit laws at 50 miles an hour, a horse carriage goes about, 6 or 7 miles an hour-ish? 5? I mean, it's not an encumbrance on the traffic. From me living up there and seeing it on a daily basis, I've never actually had a personal problem with it. The only thing, as far as limiting and trying to limit the amount of carriages and horses, our ordinance doesn't actually particularly address that. It just says at the time of application, they tell us what they want. If they want to bring 5 carriages and 5 horses, it's kind of listed in their application. So we would have to actually modify the ordinance, and we kind of had the chance when Ms. Snyder brought that forth to modify it, and it didn't seem to be an issue at the time. So.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Mr. Dotson while he's up here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Tharp?
Well, hello.
I'm sorry. I was leaving the house at 5:30. Got in the car, it said 6:30.
Start her up. Have some cake.
Congratulations.
Howdy, folks. Thom Tharp. I run the Olden Days Carriage Service downtown here. I'll start passing these out here. Let MJ or whoever pass those around. I've got several letters of recommendation there from several of the local businesses downtown. I did have 6 copies of each made up, so you can pass those out. These are on top of the email that you all got. Those are all hard copies. Y'all want to just take one and pass the stack around? Each Each one of the little paper clips is its own individual stack.
No, keep a stack. Pass on that.
There you go. Yeah. I just got all those in my hand today, or those would have already been in your box, guys. I apologize.
Okay.
Patrick, feel free to keep that original if you need it.
I'll give
It's
that
all
one
right.
back. That's nice letterhead.
Copy of your insurance.
Okay, while we're doing this, can I just ask one more question? This route essentially goes from Crescent Spring to the end of the Ozarks and back. That's the way I'm reading this now. I wasn't reading it properly at first. I was thinking it went down Spring Street, but it doesn't, does it?
But yeah, after 6 o'clock.
After 6 o'clock.
And
It goes as farther than Crescent Spring? What I'm looking here now, it looks like is this crossed out here? Is this what this means?
The route basically goes from the Crescent Hotel to the end of the Ozarks. That's part of it.
Yeah.
The other part of it goes down Ellis Grade onto Spring Street down to Crescent Spring Gazebo. Mm-hmm. Then from there on down Spring Street to Spring